Good evening, folks. Welcome to episode 15, season 2 of the Town End podcast. Episode 65 in total. Cheers for everybody who's hanging on, clinging in the 65 episodes in. I think that's the game we were waiting for, wasn't it? 4-1, massive Louth Derby match. We're going to get straight stuck into it. We've got the Coot Hill Chicago Bull, Dean Arsmith over in Chicago first, joined us from the limo. Pingo, how are we?
How's it going? How are you, Gally?
I'm just going to wait on the other lads. Chris joined us after the match, and Steph is away at the Kids Football World Cup in Blackpool, and Dundalk is probably having a pint. Pingo, what did you think? Were you watching the game?
So my stream wouldn't work for the first half or for the first 40 minutes, so I was listening in to Adrian and Flano, and then I got to watch the rest of the match after that. And I mean, it sounded a bit like a dull affair in the first half from much of what I heard, you know. And then thankfully the stream worked just after Leahy's opener, and I mean that second half is kind of what we've been waiting to see from the team, isn't it? You know, I'm not gonna. Yeah. It's a great result, great night. Albeit, you know, trying to be realistic, it was a very, very poor Drogheda performance. But when they performed poorly, it gave us the opportunity to knock the ball around. And I think we've seen shades of what we want, or what Stevie's team we think is going to look like, you know. And there's some really, really good passages of play in the second half. I mean, I think everybody played well tonight. So yeah, I'm very, very happy with that result.
Yeah, I thought just on the amount of ball that we had, I thought even early on in the first half, Drogheda came out. It reminded me kind of Finn Harps last year. They came out, wouldn't give us a minute on the ball, but that didn't last too long. I'm not saying they got tired or fatigued, but they seemed to come out and we almost couldn't get a second touch at the ball. They seemed to be getting on us really quick. That was kind of our plan from the start, but I think we got control really quickly into the match. It was probably like, I'm trying to think back to a better game that we've played. I don't think we've probably played as well consistently over 90 minutes as we have tonight, even with the changes, you know, not to go too far into the match, but I just thought we controlled the game from about 12, 13 minutes in. I think we just ran the show, didn't we? I just thought it was an overall, probably the best team performance I probably watched all season.
Yeah, I think it was inevitable kind of after, was it Massey that hit the crossbar again? I was listening, I didn't get to see it. I seen it at half time, but it was kind of after that seemed to be a little bit of a wake-up call, and I think from that moment on we seemed to just, as you say, we controlled the game. And I mean, how often this season have we had that luxury of making those 3 subs with 20 minutes to go? You know, it's been very, 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 very seldom. And I mean, John Martin, look, again, we'll talk a little bit more and a little bit about that, but John Martin being able to come off the bench and get a second goal in a week, you know, that's another positive, isn't it? You know, so I think overall, I think it's a good team performance, albeit against a poor side, but you know, you have to win what you're up against, and thankfully, as I said, that second half, some of that passages of play and some of the passing was very, very, very good.
Yeah, and just before we wax lyrical with any player individual, there's obviously our Tony's Pizzeria man of the match pizza as well. So get your comments coming into us. Nominate your man of the match, and we have a chance at the end of the show to win your. It's a bank holiday weekend pizza now, so you can get it pretty much anytime you're hungover over the next 3 days. I thought we mentioned last week, and not to go back, we mentioned the game against Shells. We kind of all had the same sang from the same hymn sheet, and we thought that kind of that grappling last week, that kind of game, it was a bit of anger, a bit of bite in it, could kickstart the season. And I don't think it's, albeit like you say, probably a poor and struggling draw the team. They've had some decent football over the season, but overall they're not on the same level as a lot of teams. But it was almost a perfect game to play, wasn't it? You know, you've come out. I won't say, you know, bad, but we probably should have scored 6. I mean, if our crossing's better, we probably score 6 or 7 tonight, maybe. I mean, the goal we've even given away is a mistake on our behalf. It's not even good play by Drogheda. But I think that did the show. We're probably all in agreement that, you know, we call it with the Shelbourne match. Did it kickstart tonight's match maybe from last week? Did they have that going into the game tonight?
Yeah, I think they probably did. You know, I look at, you know, when we talk about players that start the game, you know, you've been champion and Wardy for the whole season, Gally, and we've kind of discussed and gone back and forth across the pod and debated is he better off the bench or not. And I thought tonight, he dominated the play in the middle, didn't he? You know, a lot of the good play came through him. obviously his free kick, a great free kick that just hit the crossbar. Probably should have had a goal himself. Went into Leahy to follow up on, and then his chance in the second half. I mean, I'm sure the lads are giving him a slagging after that. He was 1-on-1 with the keeper. I don't know how he fluffed his lines there, but I think putting someone like Wardy in a game like that, maybe against a struggling side, you can really see the quality that he brings to the team. And I think him and Hooben in the role that Hooben's playing this season, they complement each other very well, and they seem to be linking up well together too, and bringing other people into the game, which is good. Sorry,
no, you're all right. That's Chicago Wi-Fi for you. Ping is going to be struggling with the Wi-Fi in the Windy City. Yeah, I think I definitely agree with what you're saying. I think it was a game. I know we've commented over the last couple of months since he's signed for the club. I think a game like that suits the likes of Keith Ward. It suits someone to come in and kind of not dictate the play, but kind of run the show almost without having to do a lot. I just felt that he seemed to have the better of everybody on the field, and his movement is just, for someone who's been in the game so long and he suffered a few injuries, and I don't want to harp on about, we don't get into too much man of the match stuff yet, but I just thought he was sensational. Someone was cross the field balls himself, and actually Mark Connolly as well. Mark Connolly had a fantastic match. I thought he was drinking the Dan Cleary book of passing tonight. Like, some of the cross field balls were absolutely sensational, and I know we've got plenty's coming in tonight. Donald Hanks, yeah, I got the haircut, Donald. Cheers for that, buddy. But I thought Wardy in particular was excellent. And look, there's Darryl. We got Leahy as well, of a cracking game. But when we talk about Keith Ward, we're talking about someone that's really lit up tonight, didn't he? He was just. It was like, I don't want to be comparing the two, but it was McElhenney-esque. That's probably the best way of putting it. He really had that kind of impact, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And you were looking back. I think the club Twitter page and the social media had up a goal from 2011 in the Fozzie era, and that Wardy scored. And it was kind of, when you're looking at that this morning, you just kind of knew that he was going to have a good game if he got playing. That was the way that I saw it. But I just thought tonight showed everything that Wardy's good about, and people maybe that were on the fence about bringing him back because he wasn't getting started in a Bows team, and over last year, I think this is what Wardy can bring, and whether that is for 90 minutes against these teams that are struggling, or bringing him on like against Shells, like we talked last week about how much havoc he caused when he came on against Shells. I think this is the Wardy that Dundalk fans love, and long may it continue. As I say, I thought tonight he was very, very good, and a lot of our good play came through Wardy.
Yeah,
and he wants the ball too, and that's the big thing is we've probably lacked that a little bit last season of players, because McElhenney was injured at times, and in some games maybe when a Wardy's not in there, you don't have that midfield that actually wants the ball. Wardy will go all the way across the middle of the park looking for it. He just wants to be on the ball, and he wants to make stuff happen, and that for me is the kind of midfielder that you want in your team. Is someone that's just going to get on it and they're going to do something with it. And as I say, thankfully tonight it paid dividends.
Yeah, 100%. I just seen a couple of comments there as well. Somebody probably don't mention. We did mention at the start of the season, and probably someone that, it's not that he goes unnoticed, but Darren Mead mentioned there, Paul Doyle in midfield tonight. He's had a couple of games where he's been excellent for probably 20-30 minutes, but again, he had another cracking match tonight along with Sloggett in the middle of the park. I thought Sloggett had a great game as well, but definitely Paul Doyle's definitely in the running for, I think, the pizza challenge tonight. I thought he was one of his best games. I thought he was excellent tonight. He covered so much ground. Like, yeah, I don't know what it is with a left-footed player, but it just looks so much better on the ball. I don't know if we're just not used to seeing it often enough, but I thought he had a fantastic game in midfield. His engine is it's superb. Yeah.
He's a player that's definitely, I think, every game that he's got, every minute that he's got, he's definitely improving in the team. And you're starting to see, again, when you talk about relationships, when I was talking about Wardy and Hooben, you're starting to see that building with him and Sloggett as well,
Yeah, I'm just seeing another comment here. Apologies, Anne. I don't know if it's my speaker or it's Pingu's speaker. Chris, the technician and producer, will be on in a wee while. He might be able to sort out the sound. So that could be my fault. But yeah, just getting back to just the first half alone, Drogheda seemed to be and I mentioned it earlier, they seem to do the Finn Harps thing where they try and pressure high, but it only really worked for the first couple of minutes, and then we seem to just kind of dominate from there on. Like, you know, I thought Adams in the first half as well is crossing, and I will actually, just what I'm talking about, I mentioned, I don't want to mention other teams' players, but Quinn had a fantastic match. An excellent Dundalk player had a decent match for Drogheda right back as well. I thought he had a cracking game as well.
Yeah, another former Dundalk man, isn't he?
Yeah, it's not something we want to be mentioning, but I just thought special mention for him. Yeah, I thought he was very, very good.
He did. Yeah, I know. I thought he was very, very good too. But yeah, I suppose look, we'll get into the goals, will we?
Yeah, go on. I think if we're talking, I know you mentioned earlier on Ward's missing, but I don't think we scored a better batch of goals. Is that the best way of putting it? I don't know if that's the right way to put it. I just thought, like I said, we could have had 6, but when you like the first goal in particular is, you know, obviously Ward's involved as well, but you know, it's like why he's so far up the field. Like, I don't know if that's just a game plan that they've had. But I mean, it's worked really well. There's a debate if it was offside or not, but it's worked. You know, it's a fantastic strike from Ward originally, isn't it? And then it's just right place, right time. But something about maybe, you know, their training position that they've worked on during the week.
Yeah, well, look at it. I've been one that's been probably critical of Leahy a lot over the last 6-7 months. You don't have to say that quickly, Gally, but you know, I think in his defence, I think Leahy's one that's kind of had to step in without being fully fit. You know, he's had to start playing again without being a full fitness, and you're just starting to see that match fitness come into play. I think, you know, because that's the Leahy that played 2-3 years ago. You know, I don't think he's hit those same heights, and I think he'd probably tell you that himself. But I definitely think tonight we're seeing someone who has that level of fitness, and he just looks a much better player, you know, and just being able to get himself in those positions tonight, as you say. I don't know if they're playing him a little bit higher up the pitch. It seems like that is the case, and I feel like he was very, very good again tonight. I mean, just so I can get my token given out about Pat, and if Pat or anyone below Pat is watching or is listening, joking with this, but just to clarify so that nobody be giving out about me, why did he not let him take that? Why did he not let him take the penalty? Let him get his hat. You know, I
did debate that in the stand, and the only conclusion I could come to is obviously Pat's, what is he now? Is he 12, 13 off the record? I could be wrong. I don't want to be Matt's on me, but I'd say if we were probably 3 or 4-0 up, or if he only had maybe 2 or 3 goals to go, he might have given it to him. But that's the selfishness of the striker. That's why he's probably where he is. But yeah, you would have loved Darragh from left back to hit a hat trick on the night, but if anybody backed him, you know, definitely in for some kind of winnings. But yeah, I think the selfishness, the striker in him. I mean, that's he's going for that record. He's, you know, he's not going to give it up easy.
If Roy Keane was captain, if you remember a few years ago when Diego Forlan was on his goal scoring duck and couldn't get a goal, I think Man United were 4-0 up and got a penalty, and Van Nistelrooy handed it to Forlan, and Roy Keane came over and made Van Nistelrooy take it. So I don't blame Pat at all, especially at 2-0. You know, it's if that's missed, you could be in trouble. You know, so
yeah, that's the one. Like if you're 4 or 5 up and he's already hit a goal, Hubin, and then maybe debate it then. But yeah, I suppose look at the results. You got to get the results in, the goals count. You know, maybe a penalty miss could cost you a place in the league at the end of the season on goal difference. So look, you can kind of see the logic in it as well. But are we looking? I remember we talked about Leahy last season. And I don't want to stay on one particular player for too long, but are we looking at all that potential when he was at Bowes years, he was 18, 19 years of age coming through, playing under 21s regular, under Stephen Kenny, coincidentally? Are we seeing now why we did debate last year, could he be the best left back in the league on his day? Are we definitely tonight, I think that's probably the best I've seen. Now, he's had some excellent matches, but I think tonight in particular, I thought he was absolutely outstanding. Like, I think a lot of players had their best match tonight at Dundalk shirt. I think he's definitely one of them. Yeah.
Well, I think, as I say, I don't think he's been fully fit probably for the best part of the year now.
Yeah.
You know, didn't he? If I'm not mistaken, he got an injury towards the end of the season under Filippo. And I don't think he recovered really at all last season. You know, so I think he's finally regaining fitness, and he looked sharp enough in the preseason friendlies that we were able to see, and then he gets injured again in the last game before we start. So it's just a case of making sure that he stays fit now. But he's come into the team at a time when he can't really ease himself back into it. We don't have many players in that position, so he's had to come in and play. But the beauty of that is he's getting minutes under his belt, and I think tonight, as you say, Gally, and I think we're in agreement that it's the sharpest he's looked. And 2 goals tonight from left back is something that we haven't seen from a left back since the glory days of Dave Massey. I think Stephen McKevitt may have got a couple of goals a couple of times, but
did he score?
Goals or cards. It might have been yellow cards.
But it's probably cards. Yeah, it's probably cards and bench time. Now, listen to us slagging off Steph McKevitt, former professional footballer. We've done nothing. He's not even here. He's not even here to defend himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on.
That's why.
And just moving on from Lee, just in the first half, I thought, I mentioned him earlier, I thought Connolly had a fantastic match. His range of passing was sensational. I do think in the second half, I don't know if maybe they've had to run on him in the second half. Lines kind of got at him a little bit, but I thought he was excellent in the first half. And there's a couple of players like this. The man of the match is probably, I knew before we come on, it's probably going to be as wide open as we've probably had a vote since we started podcasting. Because tonight in particular was excellent. Even, you mentioned the likes of Ward who's come off after maybe 80 odd minutes. Then you have Mark comes on and gets a goal. I'm not saying he's in the running, but these performances are it goes to show why Stevie signed these lads. He can come on, do a job, but you've got one eye on next week as well. And even when we're talking about the first goal, we're straight into the second goal. Leahy again finding himself no exaggeration. He was in yards of space. Nobody picked him up at all, did they? Not a one. He just seemed to walk into the net.
Yeah. I mean, even when you look at that second one that he got, it's like it looked offside, but it wasn't offside. You know that kind of way where you just had so much space. I think even he was wondering, how am I onside here? It's just it was a calamity of errors, wasn't it, from Drogheda, especially in those first 10-15 minutes of the second half, like when Wardy went through it. And I hope someone belonging to Wardy is listening to this, because he can take the slagging. But I mean, how the ball went over the centre half's head that time, and Wardy was clean through, and even how the missed kick in the box that led the way for Leahy's second. But just having that space, like, it's just, I say, not to take away from our performance, but it was schoolboy defending. You know what I mean? Like
I haven't seen the replay, but it seemed to go through. It seemed to go on. It seemed to go past 3 of them. It seemed to go past the left back, 2 centre halves, or something. It just seemed to be it was like they were all waiting for the next person to put their name on it. Like, first man, just put your head, your arm, well, not your arm, your shoulder, your legs, whatever you can. It just seemed to go across. And then the keeper was caught, obviously, waiting for 3 different people to clear it. And Lee was just in. Like, I can't remember the exact finish, but I think he actually took it. He was able to take a touch and finish it, which is complete madness at that level of football. But they completely shot themselves in the foot for the second. But again, look, he take nothing away from the finish, considering he's left back. It's a fantastic night for him on the goal scoring front. I think he's, I don't know how many he scored previously before. I know he's been handed a free kick in that, but to get in twice and nobody pick him up the second time around is criminal. Like you say, it is, and we're probably doing it to service to schoolboy football when we say it, but it's kid stuff, isn't it?
No, well, that's the thing. You'd expect that kind of defending, down in the Banshock or in Clara Lane or somewhere like that. There, like, with on the lines with kids that are learning. But like, the one thing you say is, in a dangerous area like that, you put your foot behind it and get the ball out. It just seemed like, as you say, no one wanted to make the decision of those 2 or 3 that were there. So unfortunately, it ended up fortunately, not unfortunately, fortunately for us, it ended in the back of the net.
Well, we have a special visitor here. Will we let him in or just let him spew on the sideline now?
No, bring him in case.
Chris, what's the story?
Have we problem with Big with Wi-Fi again, or is he all right?
I don't know. It was Anne Mayer mentioned. I don't know if it was my mic, because my mic wasn't working at the start, so it could be mine, but I don't know.
Oh, for God's sake. Leave you the control for one night.
Yeah. So, Chris, you were obviously up as well. We're just we're going through the game. We're just on the second goal. Just moving on to the third. Just before we get your opinion on the goal. What overall? What do you think of it?
Yeah, really good. So I kind of got to hear the very start from yourselves, and I think you're right. I think if you bring the tail end of the Shells game in with this, they're kind of a lot similar. I think it was probably a little foolhardy by Drogheda tonight. They tried that pressing game real early, it ended up just being, like there seemed to be gaps all over the place. And we talked, about how our wing play has kind of come in the last few weeks. But just if you go straight through the middle tonight, there was acres of space, like Wardy with his 1-on-1. We look even at the very end there, Ryan O'Kane was nearly through.
Oh, I was up off the seat. I was at the back of the stand. I was up off my seat. I thought he was in.
He was so close to doing it. So I think, look, obviously, if you take out some of the injured players and players that's unavailable for Drogheda at the moment, it's probably a bit harder. And like, Darragh Markey would probably get into most teams around at the moment, and there was a bit of a shuffle, at the back and moving people around. So in that sense, it wasn't as strong a team as I think we played in Headingley Park that time, but they were a little bit too open and let us have the ball too much at times. Like they pressed hard as soon as we tried to move it out of the back four. But then if one person was out of position, we had the know-how and the players' capability to work our way through and past them. And I think that seemed to be the undoing of them, in particular in the second half. First half probably contained us a bit. And I think even in the first half, I'm trying to remember if it was Connolly or it was Boiler, but they had the ball in the back four and they were like just literally standing on the ball for a couple of seconds and there was nobody pressing them because they wanted to try to tighten up everywhere else. And I think, we've talked the past few weeks about Skip probably learning a thing or two about what's his best formation and best ways to play. And, did he get things right all the time? No. But when you think about how we set up that day in the game park versus today, they tried to load the middle of the park and we didn't go to 4-4-2 and be outnumbered in the middle. We kept wide play, which ended up opening the game for Wardy, who, I thought he was a little puppet master today. He was everywhere, absolutely everywhere today. And I thought Sloggett had a super match as well. Some real good tackles in there, but just wanted the ball over and over again, and took a few clouts for it too. He was down for a good while.
Him and Deegan had a good battle, yeah.
Yeah, like he that was a 50-50 ball, and he just didn't back out of it.
Yeah,
and I think, we try our best not to go back to last year, but like this is where we were. We wouldn't have even been committed into that this time last year. We would have let that ball go, and then try to see where the break of that ball was, and 9 times out of 10 it never broke for us last year, and it presented an opportunity for somebody else. But I just think tonight Skip seemed to have a lovely balance to the team. Wardy picked up where he left off in the Shells match, and it all came together nicely, I suppose.
And you also forget that Macari at right as well, which is I know we started left and he started right, but he's really finding that spot now. I think that's the perfect balance. I think obviously it's happened twice before already, but I think that it just complements really well. You've got almost two similar players on the flanks, and I just thought, I was trying to say at the start even, I don't think I've seen a better game. Like nobody had a bad game. Like there was nobody out there, that you could have said, right, well, he needs to come off. You need to give him a break. There was none of that, and that's exactly what we're looking for from Skip and this new regime, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think when you look at a lot of the players coming in as well, like any of the players that's coming in now, when they get a chance, you look at Wardy, you look at John Martin again coming in, getting another goal again. I think it's probably breathing a bit of ethos into some of the players that, if you play well, you have a shot at getting in the team. But, it's a high level. You're not going to walk into this team either. And that's exactly what you want to see from this team. It just creates competition all over the park. And I think bar, obviously Benson out injured and Williams as well, you'd be worried. Thankfully, it's a nice worry. But you'd be worried if you were these players or even Bradley, on the suspension of going, shit, they're after playing really, really well without me. I'm not, you would have thought with Bradley out, was there a chance there maybe for John Martin to start? But it was just a rejig to make room for Wardy in the middle as a reward for how he's played as well. So I'm sure John Martin will be knocking Skip's door fairly soon, going, "Hang on a second, I've taken opportunities that's been given to me with limited minutes, and I've got 2 goals now. So when do I get my start?" It's just a pity that there's no League Cup or a Leinster Cup, because these players would all get a game right now.
Yeah, and do you think? I suppose it's not even a balanced team. It's actually not even, if you even look over the numerical from last year and the year before, it's just a better squad all around. I mean, it's the closest thing we've had since we probably won the league. Since to having that kind of, this is the way we're going to play it. These are the players, and it's a perfect. They all complement each other so well.
Yeah, and it's the balance, like you said, though, Gali. I think we tried. Well, it was the ownership's decision to go outside the league and look at other talent, which absolutely there's talent out there, but I think for the League of Ireland, you gotta know the league, you gotta experience that sort of football at another level, a similar sort of league, to be able to adapt to it. And I think when you compare last year and this year, you look at the experience that Skip got in. And that's look at that back four today. Like, only Macari was the one you would say with limited games at the moment, was out. And then you're when Conley gets injured, you're bringing in Brian Gartland, who steps up to be captain again with umpteen titles in his back pocket and everything. Like we were calling out for any of this sort of leadership. Like, you could literally throw a pin at this team and you're going to land on a leader somewhere in the team. And then you've got you've room then, I think, for the Lewis Macaris, Nathan Shepherds, Joe Adams, Williams when he comes back, to get on and express themselves, because there's so many other individuals there which understand, how to play this game in this league, and they create the environment, a safer environment. Whereas I think last year it was like, well, who's going to take responsibility when this goes wrong? And it just, it just, well, we all know how it turned out, really.
And just as we're on the subject of the goals, moving on to the second goal, it ties in with something I wanted to mention as well. The referees, obviously, Ward's run in, being very clever. Your man's going down in the ground, very clever. Like, I mean, he couldn't have. It was perfect, a perfect little dribble pass to put the ball into his hand. But the referee probably owed us that. Now, I haven't seen the replay of the first half, but some of the decisions were shocking. Like, like the boys are shouting for handball in the first half. There's a foul, Dane Massey on Pat Hooban as well. The linesmen, I don't know what school they're going to. I don't know who's training these, but it's frightening. It's literally right in front of them. It's a worrying trend. Now, look, everybody's quick to hammer referees in this league, but when you see stuff like that, that's just, you're asking for carnage, aren't you?
Yeah, and were we saying that the linesman might have gave the penalties against us there for the past while, in Drogheda and the Shells one again. But this time we just had really quiet linesmen who didn't want to give anything. So maybe the assessors' reports come in and said, stop giving penalties. I'm not too sure.
Because I think, a lot of people might see the penalty we got as harsh because he's already slating, but it's so clever from Keith Ward. Now he'll say he went to go round him, but I mean, it was so clever. The guy, I'd say the guy is absolutely kicking himself on the way home. I can't think of who was on the ground now, but I mean, we've earned it. I mean, we probably should, like I said, as Pingu started at the show, we probably should have scored 6 or 7. If the crossing's a little bit better. So I think you earn luck like that, don't you?
Yeah. Look, obviously tonight, like I'm on the wider camera, so I didn't really see it, how it got through to Leahy at the back then as well for the free kick. But when I seen it in the close-up camera after, and then it was a complete swipe by the Drogheda defender, I was like, Jesus, But come here, like you say, we probably played better at times in the Shamrock Rovers game at home and came out with nothing from that. And you think of the big chance that Pat missed at the end, and to go and put 4 past somebody, like we said, actually, I think it was only maybe 2-3 weeks ago. We said there's probably a chance that we could put a team to the sword.
Yeah.
If we play the game right, and I think tonight the only obviously, we go then and Pat picks up another goal to tick him along to the target for the penalty. The only blot is that we did concede one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I honestly thought we're going to see this out and it's a 3-0, and that's a real good result. But look, to go and get the fourth, then I suppose kind of it takes out any sort of a comeback.
Yeah, it's a type of goal to concede as well. If you're conceding screamers, it's different. But you know, it's a mistake from us. Look, you'll forgive them, I suppose, over the season if you're putting 4 on the other end. But we're just going to bring Pingu. Just going to bring him back in there, unmute him.
Hello.
Yes, Pingu. Yeah, we want as a lot of focus on the game tonight before the match. Just before we talk about it was obviously heading the game or heavily involved in the build up to the game today, and you just wanted to talk about it. Just give you a couple of minutes there on the subject.
Yeah, so May 1st marks the start of Mental Health Awareness Month, and for the second year in a row, all the captains in the league and the women's league are going to be wearing the Head in the Game's captain's armbands just to promote a positive discussion around mental health. And Stephen Todd, one of the members of the group, he came up with the idea that this year the kind of theme that we're going to use throughout the month is going to be beyond rivalries. You know, that mental health transcends beyond any kind of football rivalries at all. Everyone suffers, you know. Obviously, quite high profile within the Dundalk FC community was the loss of Harry Taff, who Harry's daughter Orla actually made the t-shirts herself that were worn by both teams tonight. So we're very appreciative of Orla for that. Drogheda United, probably not as well known, but one of their former board members lost a teenage son not too long ago, a couple of months back as well, by suicide. So it just highlights the importance, you know, of having this discussion within our league and using the League of Ireland and using the football clubs in the community as that platform to promote positive mental health. So I think from the point of view ahead in the game, we're very appreciative of Dundalk and Drogheda that they were so willing to allow us to use this game as the kind of launch pad for that.
Yeah, like Pingu, like we seen in kind of on the socials and stuff during the week, both clubs kind of coming together to promote the game with Head in the Game and like I say, all the t-shirts and stuff during the warm up and stuff like that. Is this kind of where, like, when I suppose to kind of throw it back to you in a bit of a Head in the Game question, when you were starting all this off, did you ever think you'd ever get to the time where the Louth Derby there would have so much focus on Head in the Game for you guys, and you think of the armbands and everything throughout the league? I mean, it's phenomenal in the short time that you have set up, the big strides that you have made.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like me and the lads have this discussion every week that we're kind of still pinching ourselves with how far it's come. You know, when we set it up, we obviously, Head in the Game was formed for people maybe, I don't want to go over the whole story, but for people that maybe don't know, Head in the Game was formed the day after Harry passed. Yeah. And it was kind of like, you know, one passing by suicide is one too many in our community. And I lost my uncle Gally. You knew my uncle Andrew through the running community, and it was kind of like back then in 2017 I wanted to start that discussion, and when Harry died, unfortunately it's taken a tragedy to launch something that's been very, very positive. And it was all Dundalk lads that were involved at the time, and we thought like it's probably going to just stay within Dundalk, to be honest. Like, you know, we wanted it to be league wide, but when that video, the floodlights, came out, I mean, the reaction that it got nationally, we kind of just felt then, right, we're onto something here. And now our committee has, you know, people from Galway, people from Cork, people from Dublin, you know, people that are associated with multiple teams within the league are on the Head in the Game committee now. And we've partnered with the PFAI. Getting the armbands out last year was a big deal, but to kind of go back to what you're asking, I mean, to be able to use the Louth Derby as the platform to launch this year is just like it's dreamland stuff, really. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's something you can only kind of dream of for anything, and it's great to be able to utilize something that's local to us because it's local to the Dundalk fans that are involved, but to use that to promote something on a national scale is something we're extremely proud of.
Yeah, I think when you looked at the build up to the game and everything was about the Beyond Rivalries campaign, wasn't it? From the Dundalk's perspective, if we just take it from our own podcast here, there was so much around it. There was the press release before it, pictures of the armband, the whole thing. It's fantastic to see, and I think it's funny. It's 2 games back to back. Because I'm just thinking back of the jersey auction for MND the previous week, and we were talking about over last season how we lost this thing, good things happening with the club. To have 2 games back to back, one with MND and now yourselves with ahead in the game, and it's in a great feeling that the club is now being used for these sort of platforms again.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being totally honest here tonight, and some of the lads on the committee will tell you the same thing, over the last couple of years, we've wanted Dundalk to kind of be the pioneer for head in the game, and with previous ownership, that just wasn't the case. So to be able to do it is, and for Dundalk to be willing to be involved is something that's massive for us.
I suppose to keep going on the head in the game piece, yourself, and where do you guys, is there similar campaigns like this that you're thinking throughout the season, like could this be replicated again? This Beyond Rivalries thing, like could we do that a couple of times a year? Is that the goal, or is there a bigger event?
Well, yeah, we're still figuring things out. I mean, like the biggest thing that we want in the next 12 months is we want to start going out and delivering talks. That's the biggest thing, and we want to be able to go into communities, not just League of Ireland clubs. We want to be able to go into local clubs and start delivering talks around mental health and promoting that discussion around mental health. I think that's something that's important, because it's a topic that isn't discussed enough. It's still not discussed enough, and hopefully we can use Irish football to be the catalyst for it, because I can tell you now, from being based out here in America, like head in the game is recognised here. It's recognised in the UK. Yeah. But if we can build it in Ireland and then start rolling it out even internationally, that's something we want to do. We just want to get it right at home first. The lads are going to kill me now for saying all that, but we do know we want to get it right on our own doorstep first. And I think all the waves that we've been making have been good ones so far.
Yeah. Like I suppose, like you say, the whole goal at the start of the Head in the Game thing was to raise awareness and using sport as the vessel to get it out there. So is the most logical next step, and you just touched on it there, Pingu, that you don't become just a symbol almost for to be aware of suicide. You can now, like, by moving into talks and conversations, you could possibly move into prevention then at that stage, couldn't you?
Honest answer, I think I don't know, because we're not all qualified clinicians. So I'm not qualified. If someone comes to me and tells me that they're having problems with their mental health, I can't fix it for them. I can't give them the advice. But what we can do is, what we want Head in the Game to become is, can we become that signpost? And can we signpost the people in the direction of where they want to go? Like, we have 2 great charity partners, Shine and Jigsaw. Yeah. That we can point them in that. In America, we're very close to partnering with a charity, Solace House, out here as well. They're a sister charity of Pieta House back home. Okay. So it's all Irish ran in New York. So we're close to partnering with them. But I think ultimately what I would love, I would love Head in the Game to become almost like that symbol. It would become what Show Racism the Red Card is for diversity in football. Can we become that? Can we become, for mental health, what Show Racism the Red Card is for diversity? So I think long term, that's what we would love. And as I say, it's all right now. It's about getting it right on our own doorstep before we start looking further afield.
Yeah, and in that sense, the partnership with the PFAI then is so important, because when you think about the PFAI, part of their remit is player welfare. And that's what this all comes in under as well, because like you hear some horrific stats about footballers in the football world when they, bad injuries end their careers abruptly, or even just when they finish football, that all they've known is football throughout their whole life, and then there's a vacuum. Like it's not easy, and you could say, in professional football, they're so well paid they should be able to, but like money can't be thrown at your mental health. So in that sense, being partnership with the PFAI is real. It's a good synergy, and I could see both parties leaning on each other in that coalition.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at when we started, it was very much aimed towards supporters, and there's still a big emphasis on helping supporters of clubs that are in league. But I think anything that can be done to help players, help managers. We've seen obviously all the ref abuse over the last 12 months, and it seems to be getting worse. So if we can help referees, I mean, it's all inclusive of anybody that loves the sport, anyone that's involved in the sport. If we can help them, we can. And as you say, having that link with the PFAI is absolutely fantastic, and it gives us the opportunity, and we haven't even really scratched the surface with that. But it gives us the opportunity to start working within the league and working closely within the clubs as well, which is great. And I mean, some of the feedback we've had from players, including Brian Gartland, who's been very, very supportive. I think he's been involved in almost every promotion we've done to date. Maybe that's the Dundalk connection.
There's a new ambassador coming up.
Yeah, but Garth has been a good help and has been very supportive and given advice on things that he thinks will work for us. And he's on the committee of the PFAI as well. So having that soundboard actually from players helps, because they're able to tell you what their needs are. You know what I mean? So it's great. And I think just to highlight again, and I don't want to be talking too much because I think maybe microphone's a bit shit, but we promote the women's game as well, and we promote mental health within the women's game. Katie Bordas is one of our ambassadors playing with Bohemians at the minute. Leanne Kiernan, who plays for, just won the I think the first division in England last week with Liverpool Ladies, is our newest ambassador. Dave O'Connor, who he's the physio for the Shelbourne Ladies, so there's a big emphasis on both the men's and women's games as well, and making sure we're all inclusive. It doesn't matter the gender, it doesn't matter the team, the club. It's as I say, it's just anyone that supports football, anyone involved in football. If they need help, look up headinthegame.ie. There's support there for anyone that needs it, and we're more than willing to help anybody out that needs it.
Don't you get your podcast mixed up now? This is still the town end, mind you.
Don't worry at all. I'm used to asking the questions you see on the other one, so.
Yeah. This is it. Is there anything else you want to cover before we move on, I suppose?
I don't think so. I think probably the biggest thing, and I'll let a bit of a cat out of the bag here. In the next week or two, you'll see that the captain's armbands are actually going to be on sale. We're just finishing up how we're going to be selling them online, but they are going to be available for sale. So it won't just be League of Ireland clubs. Anybody that wants them, keep your eye out on our social media. Go to our new website. Please drive traffic to our new website, headinthegame.ie. Headinthegame.ie, and look us up on our social media, and you'll get information on that. So get yourself an armband.
Straight to the band shot there with a couple.
Yeah. So I just recently installed the first under 14s proper. Another way you'd swap the captains every game. We've an actual captain at under 14s level because they're at that age. So yeah, perfect timing. That's it.
We'll put you down for one, Gally.
Lovely.
Might need two in case in the wash.
Maybe so. Or I just lose it because that's what I do. It's not car keys.
There is also actually, sorry if I can promote one more thing, there is also still Umbro merchandise left. So go to umbro.ie/headinthegame. If you want to buy a jersey or a quarter zip, €20 from every one sold goes to charity partner Shine and Jigsaw. So you're buying a nice bit of kit, but you're also helping out a couple of mental health charities that need it. So during the month, if you need to buy a new jersey, Dundalk won't mind if you give it to charity instead.
Just we're delighted with you.
Copyright of 8 hours with Chicago.
Yeah. Martin Connolly's just texted me as I speak, so don't fucking say that, you.
Yeah, no, brilliant. Look, I think throughout the years and that, I think yourself and Steph have touched on bits and pieces with with Head in the Game anyway on the pod here. So I think with the night that was in it and such a brilliant campaign, I think it was important just to reiterate some points and just show the direction that Head in the Game is going as well. So I think it's always worthwhile, I think, just going back over it and touching it on the platform here. So just great to hear the good work. Let that child in, because I think you're power at this stage. Finger.
Yeah. I'm standing watching the match here, so I better go do a bit of work, lads. But no, thanks for giving me the 10 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, Finger, we'll put
it.
Head in the Game details as part of the show details on this, onto the socials as well. So if anyone is looking for the information, it's headinthegame.ie, I think you said.
Yeah. I think so. I think that's what it is. So hopefully,
we'll double check. Stephen Todd's out there. If you're out there, Stephen, give us a text.
Yeah. If he's got this wrong. Pingu, before you go, your man of the match.
I've been waxing lyrical about Wardy, but I think I'm going to give it to Darragh Lee tonight because as I say, I've been very critical of him and I thought he was excellent. So for the reason of me being critical and I thought he was good tonight, I'm going to give him man of the match. And how often does a left back get a brace? So. So yeah, that's my pick.
Oh, Ward, he sets up 2 goals and not okay.
And next week I'm going 2-1, lads, just to change it up. All right, I better head off. All right, lads.
Go on ahead, thank you.
Cheers. Thanks, lads.
Cheers, thank you. Cheers. Some chance of it.
He's a gas man, isn't he?
Hope he's got all the information right after that.
Oh, imagine it was all wrong.
Oh, the lads would be fuming. But just we didn't cover probably we got all the goals in, but except the 4th one off the bench. He's turning into, like, I don't want to put a label on him, but he's turning into that super sub. And like you say, he'd be knocking on the door to get in.
Yeah.
Because what you notice is he's coming on, McMillan's coming on, but he just seems to get the rub of the green over Dave at the minute, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think the move itself, look, we were finding pockets of space everywhere. Yeah. And as soon as the ball got moved to him, and I don't think it was probably not too far. I can't remember if Wardy's chance was before the 3rd or the 4th goal, where he was 1-on-1. And just for a second, I thought, is this Wardy back in again? And then I realized, no, it's John Martin. He's going to finish this. Boom, it goes in. So it's probably Wardy's only blotch on his performance was the 1-on-1 in the second half. But I think, I just think. It just shows that obviously John Martin is sharp right now.
Yeah,
absolutely. The training's to a good level, and when he gets these opportunities, you think. I don't think he had too many touches before the goal tonight, and last week that was his first touch, was the header. Yeah. So he's obviously prime. I wonder, is he doing that thing that we used to do when we were all playing football, and you'd be stretching in front of the manager, so he'd put you on and clear you away.
Star jumps in front of him to get him on.
Yeah, but no, it's great. It's great
about him
that I just think it's great that he's in the right areas. He's looking for the ball. He wants to take this opportunity. I think, probably similar to Doyle and Sam Bone and these players coming in. It's very hard sometimes coming from another team into this Dundalk team, and you don't know what way it was going to be last year or this season, or which is probably a little bit more like previous seasons. And I think now they're seeing that when you get your chance, you need to take it as best you can. And look, I think John Martin's doing all he can. He can just stick it in the net, take his chances.
Yeah, and he may not. Like, even when he signed, I think there was a few, including me, there was a few eyebrows. Look, we'd seen him play last year, but whether or not.
He's against us enough times.
I know, yeah. And it's not like, I think I mentioned earlier on, if you could make the step up, it's not really a step up as such. It just seemed to be, when you're coming to Dundalk, it's that kind of crest, that weight of that jersey on you. But and the good thing about it, I was just going to say, he can play right across, so it's not just, he's not a pigeonholed as one player. He seems to be able to someone who can, he can play almost anywhere across the park. Maybe not central midfield, but definitely anywhere in attacking. He can definitely cover a lot of ground for us. He's pacey, he's strong. But I think, I think to have someone like that, Davy Mack used to be that player coming off the bench, grabbing the goal when Hubin wasn't on it, or if Hubin hit 5 and was tired. But they now have that option of Martin as well, and it could end up proving being himself. Maybe Doyle, Adams as well. I thought Adams was excellent, but they could end up proving really vital signings when it comes to really the nit and gritty of the season later on, couldn't they?
Yeah, it's probably we're starting to touch on it now, so we might as well go into it. I think
Go for it, yeah.
For the man of the match. I thought, look, I think probably the only thing, like I just said there now, that all that Wardy missed tonight was his goal, and he was given the chance for it. But I just thought he was everywhere tonight. He wanted the ball. He was hungry for it. It's set up to. I think if Pat's there, it wasn't there, you might have looked for the penalty, maybe to have another chance or something. But I just think when we were worried with Williams gone, with Benson gone, where's the creativity from the midfield going to come from this? Because Sloggett seems to be not only breaking up play, but having to create play as well. That's asking a lot of him. But I think tonight you saw more from Greg Sloggett because Wardy wanted to play his game tonight, and it just everybody complimented each other, like you just said. Doyle then in the middle of the park. I think the three of them were so busy around each other because they knew how each other were playing, and it just it worked so well. And you've mentioned balance and everything to the team, and I think that's all for it. So in a roundabout way, it's Wardy.
just to sum it up, sum up. That sounds like one of my analysis when I get mad at the match. It's one of those. That's what I said at the start. It's one of those nights where you could argue 3 or 4 players from out of the match, and I don't even think we've hit like Mark Rosser said a couple of weeks ago on the LOI. I think we were playing. It might have been Sligo. We haven't even gotten out of gear. It was one of those games where it was steady. We have another level. I thought Sligo was excellent. I mean, I thought he covered. I thought he was top class, and he gave Deegan a torrid time in midfield. Now, look, it takes a big man to give Deegan a run around the pitch all night, but. I find it difficult
when Greg's been taken off for the past while. You kind of were on the borderline of has he been playing well or not. Like tonight, you knew he was taken off, but he's been played super. Yeah. So it's nothing down to his performance.
Yeah, and like Conley would have been similar as well. And
I think Conley with the knock he had earlier.
Yeah,
I think they just went. You don't want to chance it. Just bring in Garts when he's there on the bench.
Yeah, I'm torn. I'm torn between Ward.
I had a quick look at the comments. This is going to go 50-50.
Yeah, I'm torn between Ward and Leahy. It's so difficult.
If you're going to either of those two, we're 50-50 here.
Yeah, if a left back, it's not every week you see a left back hitting a brace. And on another day, if Pat Hoban's done the record or close to the record, he might hand over because I think the number Pat's at now, you might know better. Is he at 11 to go, 12 to go, something like that?
12 to go, I think isn't it?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I could be more, but I think if he's closer, because he's so far away, he's probably thinking, "No, I need to get this done this season. I want it done." Blah blah blah. Yeah. I can't. As much as I love Keith Ward, as much as I want to give it to him, I have to go for Leahy on this. It breaks me heart, but I'm going. And Sloggett was in there. Conley was in there. For me, it's Darragh Leahy, yeah. And it's just for the goals.
Then you trump me, then, haven't you?
Yeah.
So you can pick the name then, if that's the name.
Is it, I thought he picked Wardy. He picked Leahy, did he? So we'll go.
We went Leahy, yeah.
I like Donald's shout though. I think there's definitely an argument there for Darren and the Rook. Barber,
I don't know.
There's free plug down. But let's see. We'll go with who hasn't had a pizza yet, lads. I'm trying to think now. Where do we go? Who have we got, Chris? Who have we got? Who didn't get a pizza? Who hasn't got a pizza? They've all had pizzas at some stage. They're all hungry. Oh, man. I can't pick one. We have... I don't want to name out between such and such.
No, don't do that.
No.
Darren Mead give out about earlier. Or you was thinking of Super Win. Oh, Mark Conley. All right. There's 2 for Conley, wasn't it?
Yeah, there is a few. I thought Conley, if Conley doesn't come off the field, in the first half, particularly, he was like Dan Cleary. His range of passing was unbelievable. Now, he had 1 or 2 niggles, but 1 or 2 times the boys caught him out. But I thought he was outstanding. I'm going to go with Patsy Mattis, simply because.
Did Patsy not get one last time?
But did Paul not get one last time? I could be wrong here. I might give him the names wrong. Oh, man. Can we give... Did anybody pick the pizza last week? Did we get the pizza? Did Stephen? Did we get that pizza? We give it 2.
We give 2. We definitely skip 1 if you want to give it to the 2 boys, and then.
Well, we'll give 2. Come on, we'll tell Vinny. So 2 pizzas, lads.
days
Well,
ago.
remind me the names there, Chris. Patsy Mattis
Patsy and Paul.
Paul, perfect.
Yeah.
Paul Carolyn, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so because we definitely, there was one or two where we didn't.
Yeah, we weren't collected. The boys.
We moved it over, and we on the Saturday morning one that we didn't want to talk about pizza that early.
We'll notify Tony's of the influx of people coming in now looking for pizza.
Exactly.
The names.
Perfect. Well, look, to wrap up for tonight, we'll do the usual. Before we look at the fixtures coming up for ourselves, I
was so close to a result tonight as well. I think I 4-0. Like
4-0, yeah.
Oh man, unbelievable.
So there's the table from tonight. So Derry stay on top, 3 points ahead of Shamrock Rovers on 30 points. Then Shamrock Rovers behind, obviously, in 27. Gap of 6 points back to ourselves in third place on 21, a point ahead of Sligo and Pats, both on 20 points respectively. It's a nice little time to be there, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it went our way in majority of games.
We're getting a rub at the green, and they need to take advantage of it now that we have it.
Yeah. And you would say probably down as far as 6 there, Bows on 18 points, 2 points behind Pats. Now, there's a little gap then of 5 points to Drogheda, Shelbourne, Finn Harps, UCD, which we kind of all thought there might be a little.
Yeah, in fairness, I did think Drogheda would actually be further down. And that's not being. I don't want to be disrespectful because of tonight's game, but they just don't look like a team. And I don't want to be nasty with anyone. They just don't look like they're going to pull off them wins that they're going to need. Now, I'm not looking at UCD. Unfortunately, will hold everybody up. And you've got your normal Finn Harps, but they always seem to come out of it. I think Drogheda will struggle as the season goes on even further.
Yeah, I think, the longer this goes on and you see, we're 13 games in and haven't got their win yet. It's kind of getting hard, and they're going to get halfway through the season when, the college season ends then for them, and they're going to lose some of their better players possibly on contracts and stuff like that.
And it's a pity for them. It's a pity for club because they play a really good brand of football, and it's just
play a really good brand. And if you look at the spine of most teams in this league, there's UCD graduates somewhere along the line. So they definitely add enough to player development in this league, and I think it's probably going to be a shootout now. You would say maybe between Harps, Shells, and Drugs for the playoff position. Which
town is here, right?
Yeah, look, you in saying that, you would also say you would look at ourselves, and it's amazing what a couple of results can do for you.
Yeah,
and get you there. Bearing in mind, and Steph only mentioned it only a couple of weeks back there that. Lots of those teams in around us, the Sligo, Pats, Derry, and Shamrock Rovers all have to play European football. We don't have that headache. That's
something we keep forgetting. Yeah, we keep forgetting that element of it as well, because that'll put a lot of strain on it.
And it was always great. The first round of games, you get that bye week where the only thing you're focusing on is the European football. But then after that, you seem to, because you've got 2 legs of, if you're through to the next round in the European game, you've got back-to-back fixtures all over the place. It's 2 fixtures a week for, as long as you're in the competition.
Yeah.
So
and I think whether they have squads for that. Now, Derry have a decent squad, but whether or not squads had what we had. We had.
Yeah, well, you would look at the Pats and Sligo one, and you would probably question if that is there. You would say maybe the Derry and Shamrock Rovers probably has the depth for that.
Yeah.
Frank's right in before we could get anywhere.
No mess of Frank. Frank's like about
3-0, which is kind of actually what I was thinking, Frank, as well. It's in the bowl this time, am I right?
It is, yeah.
For it, but I think they're just.
I think we'll kick on. I can't see.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking as well. I think we're hungry in a lot of positions now.
Yeah,
and that's probably helping to drive this team on as well. Like if 1 or 2 players are suspended or whatever, like injuries that we've come up with, like 3 key players, we didn't miss them tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
Bradley, Benson, and Williams, any other team would have missed them. Especially if you take probably lower half down from Bows down, you put any of those 3 players into them, they were missing out of those teams. They'd be massive.
Yeah,
massive. And somehow we've held this together, and we're do you know what's interesting over the past wee while when you look at where the goals have come from. Like for years, we probably relied on Hooben scoring goals and get us there. All of a sudden, like 2 from Leahy tonight. We've John Martin coming off the bench scoring 2 again. Like, so if we can keep this goals coming from everywhere, I think that's part of it. But yeah, Frank, I'm right there with you. I think it's 3-0 on this one.
I'm gonna hit for another 4. I'm gonna go 4-0. It's bound to. I'm like Pingu with the 2-1s. It's bound to go up sometimes.
Yeah.
No, and I know.
UCD is really underwhelming, isn't it?
Yeah, and UCD have suffered over the last couple of weeks. I think were they 7-0 last week? Was it 5? You don't want to see teams getting thumped like that either. But I just think if they can carry it on, like I genuinely think there was a spark lit at that Shelbourne match last week. I think that was really that game that kind of pushed them over to the next level, and they've done it tonight. And yeah, I think I'm going to go 4-0 again. I'm going to go out on a limb there. Well, it's not really that far of a limb. It's UCD, but considering they went for 4-0 tonight, I'm going to go 4-0.
I see Paul and Frank are probably usually always putting in their guesses on this. So I think we'll just add them into our weekly. Right now, lads. So you're goose now because we're going to put this in, and you nail your colours then after
4 or 5 next week. Is it from Paul? Yeah,
look, we put them in brackets for him.
And unfortunately for UCD, it could be. When you consider players come back in, and it really could be. And look, you don't want to see any team get murdered, but I do think they're just that team, and I think the playoffs after the last 2 games, I think we'll kick on. Yeah.
I think it will, exactly when you say that. Their results are probably going one way at the moment. They're struggling for goals. We're free flowing with goals. If you look at tonight's performance, but they're coming from different parts of the pitch, and you would say just with momentum and confidence, they're in complete opposite directions for these 2 teams. And I think that probably says a lot. I think just before we finish up, we shared a post there earlier on. So if anyone hasn't got their hands on Brian Gartland's book, One Last Shot, he is doing a book signing tomorrow at 12 p.m. in Eason's in the Marshall Shopping Centre. I don't know. Did you get a chance to thank all the sponsors tonight?
I didn't know, and I will know. You got in there before me. Yeah,
this is all you now, so I don't mess it up again.
Louth Village got a lot of comments last week. As per usual, obviously the podcast, the hard work going on behind the scenes, Chris is producer and stuff like that. So we've got our main sponsor, which is Dundalk Village, Donald Green, backed. We've also got a double pizza tonight from Tony's Pizzeria. They don't know it's a double pizza yet, but they will tomorrow when we get Steph to text them from Blackpool, from sunny Blackpool. And we also have our gear, our clothing, put on the pod gear from our playoff it, which I don't have tonight because
it's all right.
I spilled curry sauce on it, so it's in the wash. So look, I appreciate all the sponsors, all the comments, all the likes, and that's us. Local sponsorship, local podcast.
Yeah, look, and I think between the fantasy football, I think we'll throw in our wee predictions here before the matches going forward as well. Look, there's a lovely little community here. We see similar names week in, week out. So we really appreciate all the effort. And
even though we're usually running late on a Friday now at the home games, so we apologise for that.
Well, look, everyone else has to get home too. So
of course,
but that's it. I think Frank has given us well
on our ending.
Donald.
we go, do you want to go or will I go? Do it?
You go and I'll get us out.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go the opposite, Frank. I'm going to go no Steph, no Donald, lots of party.